It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the walls. The chair is against the walls. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. We come to you live every day at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 Pacific. About an hour and 90 minutes each day. We run it live on the YouTube, and we simulcast it over at gunchannels.com, where we're watching the live comments from the people that are joining us live. When it's all over, we sometimes will take the audio and post it over on iTunes as a podcast. We've been doing that less and less, so we haven't really gotten much feedback on it. So we'll kind of play that by ear going forward. But we do encourage people that might be listening to the show in the future, either on iTunes or YouTube or wherever, to leave us some feedback, interact with whatever platform you might be listening on. That allows us to know where people are and who's out there. It also, when you interact with those platforms, lets our show get recommended to more listeners. So we do appreciate the comments, the likes and shares, and of course, subscribing to our channels. We've got 4 hosts. Everybody's here today. We got Bob jumping in from Canada. Thanks for joining.
Glad to be here.
Right on. Then we got Daniel jumping in from Illinois. Thanks for joining.
Yep, howdy.
And it's Maggie up in Michigan.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Good. So I'm down here in Arizona, and we're in episode number 320. So we've been doing this for a while now. Take that number, 320, divide it by 5. And that's how many weeks we've been doing it. You divide that by 4, you pretty much know how many months we've been doing it. So we will be talking today about alternative gun topics, what to do with your old gun magazines. And then the gun biz, we'll be talking about one of my favorite companies, Smith & Wesson, and the history of it. And then we do the wrap up the week. We'll probably talk a little bit about our gun history of the day, which is a pretty cool one, as well as towards the end of the show, we'll talk more about the Old West Guns playing cards that are almost completely funded, and they are just about to go live for the first time. Well, go live officially because it's John Wayne's birthday. So before we get into all that and whatever else we talk about on a daily basis, we usually take a break at the beginning and see if there's anything worth talking about that happened overnight.
I don't get the news, so.
Let me tell you the news.
I'm good.
We had a nice chat last night, and Yankee did a video for me on the Old West Guns playing card deck over on YouTube, and then later on during the day, well, that was earlier in the day, and then later he did a live chat, how he does, and urged people to buy the cards so that they get funded, so that everybody can enjoy them, so that they exist, basically. And that worked really well, and we're basically, if we're not already funded as we speak right now, we're just dozens of dollars away at this point. So that's great. We haven't even officially started. We're already funded. That means everything going forward is what do they call them? Stretch goals. But that was kind of cool. It was Yankees just sort of Q&A chat. I don't normally hang out in those, but obviously I was trying to check out what was going on with the decks or whatever. So it was kind of interesting to hang out and watch Yankee interact with his audience. Usually I'm in there with Matt, so I'm thinking more about what to add to the conversation or question or something. This way, it was just all audience, and I don't do that very often with Yankee Live, so it was kind of interesting to see what he was doing and see how his audience is. Interesting, too, he has 500, he had up to 600 people in there a little bit later, maybe an hour later than this, but just such a big difference. Like right now, we have 18 people listening. He's got 600 people listening. So maybe we should sit at the feet of Yankee and learn and we should all be little Yankees. And then we could have 4 times.
No, thanks.
We could have
The one thing he does show
2,000.
is the potential is out there if you're able to find the niche that you feel comfortable doing.
Well, fine, you wear the tutu then, Dano.
Okay, Bob.
But anyways, yeah, the AK chat was kind of fun. I jumped in for a little bit last night. And then I had to go to bed. I had to get up early this morning.
did an AK chat as well. I'm only gonna be able to do those once or twice a month now. Just trying to keep everything together, and I'm using the Patreon as a way to judge interest, and there's some interest, but not overwhelming interest or anything. So I did want to acknowledge the people that are participating over there and not leave them hanging for sure. But I wasn't sure to do a whole show or not. I was kind of tired. So I did just sort of an impromptu one. I'll probably do another one next Thursday as well, just so that they don't feel like they're getting ripped off or nothing. Smeggy, I think you brought up, or somebody else brought up, changing it to per episode. And I'd have a problem with that because I don't know if the episode last night wasn't worth $75, right? So I'll have to figure out how to deal with the AK project. It is a passion of mine, but you can have a passion and talk to the wall about it, and it's not as fun as if there's somebody to listen to it. So instead, we're going
to. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut in. My thing's breaking out a little bit, but can't you, like, if you do a show like that and you're like, that wasn't that good, can't you just not monetize it or whatever?
I suppose. Then
I still think that's the way to go, but then
I wasted my time doing the show. So that's not a win-win. It's just a one-win. Anyway, so I'm going to put some effort into the the tactical quiz. That seems maybe like it has more legs. At least it'll be something different to play with for a bit. And that's tomorrow night. So Saturday nights, are we saying 7 p.m. Eastern? Same time? I think that's what we said. So I'm going to say 7 p.m. Eastern.
Our old time slot, you mean? We did in the afternoon?
No, this time slot.
Right now, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, right now. Okay, gotcha.
Or are you saying that's too late for you, Dano? If I did them earlier in the day, I think I'd run into like Rick and everybody who's doing shows already during the day. I don't really want to do that.
No, disregard me in regards to time.
So disregard that what that was regards to. Anyhow, so that's tech quiz, and then I guess that was the other thing. The AK-47 podcast last night. I guess that was it. So anyway, so we're starting today. Some of you guys were in Heavy's chat earlier. That's kind of like happened overnight, except it happened right before this chat. Or were any of you in Heavy's chat, actually? Look how silent they are. They all take credit for being in Heavy's chat, but I don't actually think any of them were in Heavy's chat.
No, I was not in it.
I never claimed to be.
No, me neither. I don't think so. I don't remember. That was yesterday.
It was an hour ago.
An hour ago, but I'm not sure why they're all denying being in Heavy's chat now, but I will never get a straight answer out of these guys. Let's just acknowledge that Heavy did have a chat earlier today. And leave it.
Were you in Heavy's chat, G?
No, I was watching it, but I was actually, during a good portion of Heavy's chat, I was laboriously spending gas money to go to the post office to deliver, it turned out to be $40 worth of envelopes that I had not estimated into my Gun Channel's training cards strategy. So anybody that wants to buy some Gun Channel's patches, extra patches to hand out to friends or to share or to use as trading fodder or to give as gifts, that would be great. So you can get those at gearwebsites.com. Anyhow, let's jump into the show. I guess that was everything from overnight.
I would, but I got lots of patches. I found a whole bunch.
Okay, so
What do you mean?
first topic of the show.
YouTube. You haven't even tried to post a link on YouTube, Dana. Have you?
Yes, I did.
Well, try typing anything then, because I need to be able to see you.
Okay.
So that's not.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything on YouTube pop in. There you go.
You got a little wrench.
I can put, it's posting a link, like the Kickstarter.
Oh, you know what? You can't put the little question mark codes at the end of a link in YouTube. I noticed that. So you can link this, but if you try to do the question mark blah 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 at the end to give it actual extra power, they don't want you doing that through Google or through
The
YouTube.
reference card part.
Get rid of everything after the question mark. Yeah, the question mark and everything after it, and then
Okay.
it'll. And just a tip. YouTube doesn't like.
Yeah, I
it
was
when
just
you-
trying to promote the deck out there, and it wouldn't let me do it.
Right on. Well, I appreciate it. And I guess we'll dig into alternative gun topics. What do you do with your old magazines?
That sounds like
Now-
something G-Web's typed in.
Something that happened before we started the show, and I think it's worth just repeating out there, is when I first saw this topic, I thought, well, so if you stop shooting a certain caliber, like 40, and you got these 40 mags left over, or
You mag assumed.
or for some reason the magazine doesn't work anymore,
You
and I
mag
had to be reminded, no, that's not what they meant.
Yeah,
So what
They
did
meant
we mean?
paper magazines.
Exactly.
Make paper magazines. I like to take them to the doctor's and dentist's office whenever I go, and just take a couple with me, and then I can read them because there's never anything good to read, and then throw them on the table when I leave, and then there's something good for people to read.
Yeah, that's the thing. That would be cool, if they're cool with you doing that. Like some of them might not want that, so I guess it just depends on if you got a good doctor or a good dentist or a barbershop or something. That'd be a cool place to have it.
You just leave them in the pile of magazines. You never tell anyone.
I know, but if they're getting thrown out 2 seconds later, then find a place that won't throw them out 2 seconds later.
Never throw magazines out at the doctor's office. There's stuff there that's just ragged and tattered and has been there for years, so they don't even look at them.
So every single doctor's office ever has never pulled out a gun magazine because they happen to be anti-gun. So that's good to know. But I'm just saying, maybe try and figure out if that's something, do a test one before you go in and drop off all of your things. Like I said, then it's a waste if they're getting rid of them.
We have no way of knowing if your doctor's offices are even like our doctor's offices.
I know see here, that's the problem, right? Because the socialized medicine that they can't provide good care, so they just are hungry for any magazine they can get.
Well, and the thing is, right, most of the doctors are pro-gun because, hey, it helps get rid of those, clumsy and foolish people.
Oh, come on. You can't say things like that.
Bob can. He does.
I know, but that's not, you've been listening to too many anti-gunners. Come on.
No,
Accidents have been going way down, and it's like barely a problem.
The only firearm deaths we ever have in Canada is accidents.
So does that mean they're going up, or they're going down, or they
No,
exist?
they're about the same. You get 2 or 3 a year in your area. Somebody goes, "Is that a deer wearing a hat?"
Oh wait, my Bob bullshit alarm is going off.
You better charge that phone up. It's going to be going off quite a bit.
Exactly, it's gonna wear the speaker out. Damn it! All right, so what do you do with your old magazines? Then that was the question. Dano didn't answer. Bob says he ditches them at the doctor's office, scaring kids with them.
Well, that's in case, the highlights magazine has already all been filled out. Someone circled to find the picture. So then Bob needs something to look at.
Well, what I do with them isn't as interesting as what Bob does. I don't have a problem with what Bob does there. I don't know if I do that at doctor's office because I don't go to doctors. But I could see going to like the auto shop, sometimes where you get tires, wherever you're going to be waiting for something, right? So there's going to be potential for magazines. I've seen magazines at just like industrial places where, like you go to get supplies and then they go in back and get them. So you're kind of waiting out front while they're searching through the warehouse or whatever. And they'll have magazines just sitting there sometimes. So I guess I could see, I don't know if I would throw them out. Yeah, junkyard, perfect. I don't know if I would just throw them out unless it's something like a junkyard where nobody's going to care. But, if you've had any kind of conversation with the person, maybe that's a conversation starter. In fact, I'm trying to figure out a way to trade work for the van or something. Maybe that's the way I can just take a bunch of old magazines, go in there on some, hey, do you mind if I throw some magazines down? If I go in there for something, and then they go, what kind of magazines? I go, gun magazines. And then if they go, oh, hell yeah, I'm into guns, then I can, start a conversation or something.
Yeah, and one of the things to note, if you're going to do that, especially if the magazines, they're delivered to your house, like rip off the little address label or whatever. I think that's some people forget. I've seen like other people's stuff sitting in waiting rooms going like, well, I guess I could go find this person if I felt like it. I don't like having my name and address floating around in the world.
That's a very, very good tips, Maggie. I wouldn't have thought of that. But I just buy magazines, don't get them delivered. So
Yeah, if you just buy them off the rack or whatever, then they won't have that little sticker. But that's something. I guess I'm a little more selfish with my old ones because I take them up north, and then that way, if it's a rainy day or something, and we're sitting inside, I pull one out and read some old ones. Because maybe there's an article that I skipped at the time. It was only kind of interesting, and then I read it again after, new experiences, and it's like, oh, I actually know what they're talking about now because some of the stuff goes over my head, and then when I've gone out experienced some type of shooting, I go back and read it and be like, oh yeah, that's what was happening. That's cool.
You mean like an article about a revolver?
Exactly. I see. I don't understand what they mean. I don't know how they work.
What?
So once I actually own one, then I'll go back and read all of those.
Yeah, the
revolver
name
articles.
The name is kind of explanatory there, Smeggy, how they work.
Well, maybe Clay can show me what to do. I don't even know where to hold it. They're weird looking. They're like boomerangs or something. You throw them and they come back to you.
When you said you were bringing them up north, I was afraid you were going to say you're going to use them as toilet paper up there.
No.
Because it's rustic.
But if you have to, here's the tip. First, you crumple it up a whole bunch of times, and that softens it up quite a bit.
If you guys ever dropped one off at a place where you get your hair cut, maybe your doctor's office, something like that.
We still talking magazines or something else?
Yes.
Okay. Because we were just talking about something else. So.
Dan will transition into upper deckers. So then we already talked about doctor's offices, but hairdresser. I don't go to a hairdresser.
What?
But a barber.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Where you get your hair done,
or get your hair did. Yeah,
okay.
nail salon. Cut. Your nails did.
The rest of us don't get coiffed quite like you do, Dano.
I used a very old term. I'm sorry.
You can drag them into my own bathroom and put them next to my clippers, maybe.
Hey, be careful. I might just operate all over you.
What?
Oh, Jesus. So yeah, no.
No.
There's a comment out in the chat there from Robbie. Says he leaves his at the gun store. Maybe buy a picnic table and a coffee maker.
Well, that's what I was going to get to. That's what I did end up doing with mine. I do what Smeggy said. If it's the only ones that accumulate for me are the NRA ones because I get those all the time in the mail. So I rip the thing off and I take those to the gun shop, and then I sometimes get them at trade shows. If we go to SHOT or something, they'll have a pile of them, and I'm cheap, so I'll grab them. I'll thumb through them. Sometimes there's an article or something, but I don't try to accumulate those anymore. So I try to bring them to the gun shops. Even with doing that, whenever I remember. In fact, I have a little bag thing from Black Hills Ammo that they give you at SHOT Show to carry crap around. It's reusable or whatever. And I'll keep that thing back and forth between the car and the house, where because it can carry the weight of a bunch of magazines. And I try to always have that thing full so that whenever I stop by a gun shop, I can grab a handful, just drop them off, and then I mean, most of the gun shops don't care if you just throw them down by the front where they've got business cards and stuff. It's just
yeah, and then if they end up getting multiple people do that, if they get doubles or whatever, maybe someone will take one home.
Well, no, that's the whole point. Is that people take them, they just take them home, and then some people will probably bring them back, and then other people will take them home. It's just sort of like a lending library type of thing. Except no, I don't ever want them back. Anyway, I just drop them off at a gun shop because somebody takes them. I don't know what happens to them. Somebody takes them eventually.
Well, and I have to say, I've been reading some of these old ones, and it is kind of interesting when you're reading, if they touch on politics and stuff like the NRA does a little bit, right? There's always have at least a couple columns on the future or whatever. And it's interesting going back and reading the stuff that they were predicting and then seeing, did that ever actually happen or did it not? And
that's interesting. So we're talking about what to do with your old gun magazines, right? Well, we could read it what to do with your old gun magazines. In that case, I keep some of my old ones, and I don't know if that's exactly what you're saying, but I do like to look at the ads and just the gear at the time. Old-fashioned crap that back in the day was new. So just neat looking at some of that stuff. I can remember when it was first new, coming out. Now, a Delta Elite. I can remember those ads when I first got the magazine in the mail. Open it up. Ooh, shit, Delta Elite. That's the coolest thing ever. Now you look at them and they're 1911.
You know, when it comes to printed material, I like the really old stuff from like the either late 1800s or early 1900s. So like guns for like Ivor Johnson, you know, $5 or whatever. I mean, just
those just make
not only the prices, but the way they used to describe it.
But yeah, so I mean, maybe if when you're dropping them off, you know, especially if you have like a year subscription or something, maybe just keep, you know, the top 2 that you really like, you really enjoyed the articles or something, and then 20 years from now you could be still flipping through them. If you keep a couple from each year or something, it'll give you a little
yeah, especially if it's like
picture.
The annual top 5 pistols, top 5 rifles, for that year. Or if it's a gun review for the year and it lists as many guns as they could for that year.
I think one of the reasons for doing this topic is I don't want to say justify, but is to bring up the other fact that they're magazines still, right? So they're saying on the Gun Channel side, just get digital copies, right? And that's definitely an option with just about all of them at this point to get a digital version. But I think there is something about having the magazine. I don't need to have the magazine, but I understand why they exist. And for all these things we're talking about, waiting rooms and places where, you know, you're just not going to go online or whatever. It's just not feasible to have like tablets or something. The magazines are awesome. And then like what we're talking about, history. If nobody prints them into magazines ever, then they can't get stuck on a shelf and stuck around for our grandkids to find and be interested in.
Right. And wasn't there some big publishing thing that just it was going to close down or whatever, and then someone else bought it? One of the hunting ones or one of the gun ones or something.
I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but from what I understand, they just keep closing all the time and they get consolidated, but nobody is buying them and getting bigger. From what I understand, it's like the ones that can survive consolidate the best ones out of the ones that are dying, and they just get fewer and fewer, but it's the big ones, which kind of sucks because the big magazines are just like the big TV shows or just like the big anything. They're all fluff and garbage and they're not real. So with the popularity of the format disappearing, there's no little startups really trying, except for I guess Recoil is an example of a startup. I shouldn't say that. Recoil is a pretty successful startup. It's butted into a survival one or something, right? And a CCW one or something.
Well, I didn't know that. I've never read Recoil.
I haven't either, but I've seen it on a store. I know what it is. I never really even flipped through it, but you know, I've seen people talking about it, and or I guess heard people talking about it, and I see it all the time. I mean, it's everywhere. It means that they're putting money into distributing it all over. And I guess if everyone said, just go digital, it's cheaper, especially with a niche market like this, then why waste the time printing and distributing and then dealing with all the waste? Because there's a heck of a lot of waste and somebody's eating all that, right? So just go digital. But then when somebody's looking at what do you call that thing? Where the magazines are? The magazine rack?
Magazine rack?
Yeah, there's no name for it. But anyway, when somebody's looking at the magazine rack, yeah, they're not seeing any gun magazines, so they're seeing fewer and fewer. I can remember a day when there was a big chunk, like a quarter of it. As much as there was cars, there was guns. Remember those days? I can't remember.
I do. I think another thing, like, almost like what Smeggy was talking about, is there are still areas that if you're going camping or something like that, or going like Smeggy does going up north, you might not be able to get your online magazine. Your only option may be a paper magazine.
Yeah, I read mine a lot on the airports because I don't like killing my phone battery.
Well, I guess that's
or if you don't live out in the true boondocks where there really is no practical internet, and the mail means going into town and checking your post office box. That that's and there are millions of people that do live still out in the boondocks, and that's their main way of getting information still.
Millions.
Well, with 350 people in the United States, I'm sure there's at least 1 million people living out in the boondocks throughout from coast to coast in Alaska.
I'll see some solid numbers on that before I believe any of that.
I think 1/3 of 1% is a pretty tiny number.
That's true.
But out of 350 million,
look at all the people in Alaska. What is there? 50, 60,000?
I'm not sure.
What?
Anyway, that's not the point. I just, people living out in the boondocks, and there are lots of people that do.
What
even
about
in eastern states, there are boondocks areas that don't have regular technological services.
So, getting back on subject again, what to do with your old gun magazines? No one's brought up cutting them up and cutting the pictures out and making collages on construction paper.
Well, actually, I mentioned something similar, slightly different than that. Is I've actually purchased cut-out art advertisements from the early 1900s that have been framed, and so that is a thing.
Well, I guess that's true.
You could turn them into pulp and make them into fire, like bricks for your fireplace.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a waste.
Magazines? Yeah, maybe a newspaper, but not a
What
magazine.
you can do with magazines, you just got to run them through a paper shredder.
Yeah, you just got to be willing to inhale all that like carcinogenic ink vapor.
Nah, it all goes up the chimney.
There's a lot of chemicals in that stuff.
I think it's starting to explain a lot about Bob.
Don't be such a baby. All those chemicals are good for you. You're just drink DDT just for fun.
All right. Well, I think we've solved it. Now people know what to do with their old gun magazines. You're welcome.
I think so.
We'll move into the next segment of the show, which is the Gun Biz, where we will talk about the history of the company Smith & Wesson. But before we do, we'd like to take a break between the first and second segment of the show every day to talk about one of the members over at Gun Channels. Gun Channels is a community we built a while back. It's focused on firearms, completely membership driven. That's why we feature one of the members every day. This week, I don't know if there was much theme to it. I think these were just people that were active when we were posting everything, whatever that was. And today it's ThePants. We call them Pants. And it's quite active over in the text chat in the evenings and sometimes during the day as well. So I think everybody knows what we're talking about. And again, one of the people we built Gun Channels for. We definitely want to create a place where people who are creating content can post it. But we also want to make it conducive and useful for audience. People just want to check out actual handcrafted grassroots content as opposed to finely polished, paid for message. So anyway, thanks Pants for showing up and being an active part of Gun Channels. We appreciate it.
Yeah, he's got some good ideas. Talked to him a few times.
I think he's one of the ones I saw him on YouTube for a while first, and then he came over to the dark side and joined Gun Channels.
Light side, Smiggy. Light side. The dark side's YouTube side.
Oh, well, I don't know. Dark side has cookies.
We are the enlightened ones on Gun Channels.
What are you, Obi-Wan?
No, I'm Yoda.
Obi-Wan Benobi?
I'm Yoda.
Speaking of Star Wars, did you guys happen to know that earlier today, there was a situation in Phoenix at the Phoenix Comic Con, which is where all the little nerds go, dress up as superheroes, nerd around. And then somebody went out there, I guess, with a bunch of guns. And our Gun Channels member, friend Brandon, ended up taking a picture of that guy because he had a SPAS 12. And Brandon's a big fan of SPAS 12. So he talked to the guy a little bit. I guess the guy told him something to the effect of, "Don't go upstairs later." Brenda was like, that was an odd thing to say. And then a little while later, the guy's getting taken out in handcuffs because he was about to go be crazy upstairs with, whatever. So it's kind of interesting that earlier today. It had something a little bit to do with Star Wars since Brandon is all about the lightsabers. They, after that guy getting grabbed and taken out of there, they put a ban on anybody carrying any kind of, what do you call that? Where they make up any of their fake little
What's
lightsabers?
Cosplay stuff?
Well, they banned the lightsabers and the beam part.
No, I can't think of the damn word because I'm trying to think of it. But anyway, yeah, the fake guns, and anyway, even the lightsabers. So, dang it, what do they call that when those kids dress up in
Furbies?
Cosplay.
cosplay? Yeah, all the cosplay weapons they banned. So that includes the lightsabers and lightsabers without the stick part, just the flashlight.
As if lightsabers were an actual real thing.
Oh, they
Yeah.
had people with plastic swords, man. Anything that looked like a weapon.
Dude, just the flashlight.
Lightsabers don't look like a weapon. They look like a flashlight.
Just the flashlight part they wouldn't let them bring in.
Because that's a high-intensity light beam. That could be dangerous. You could burn somebody's eye out.
But I mean, like plastic swords and stuff. Like it was just ridiculous.
Well, I guess that kind of
Bizarre.
brings up, what do you guys think of concealed carrying at a Comic-Con type thing, though?
Go for it. Why wouldn't you conceal carry there? I think with
Yeah.
all the kids and stuff around, it's kind of imperative. I wouldn't want somebody coming in there and being mean to a bunch of dumb kids that are trying to have fun. I'm assuming a bunch of responsible parents are going when the kids are young enough that they can't be there by themselves, but they want to go, right?
Well,
And then that would be a parents to be aware of what's going on and keep things going.
Yeah, but most
Like
of the
any
parents
event,
are dressed up as well. So
you have to ask yourself, is this a safe environment? Yes or no? And granted, safety is relative. It's not absolute. And if you don't feel it's safe, well, maybe it's best not to go, period. But if you feel it is, sometimes things change once you're there. And that's why I would think it would behoove you to certainly carry at such an event, because there is no absolute safety. It may be more likely to be a safe event, but it's no guarantee. I mean, if we had guarantees, we wouldn't need insurance.
I don't know if I like the new Harden Dano. He doesn't have fun in life anymore. He's always thinking about the worst case scenario.
Because shit happens. We live in a dangerous world.
it's always on.
Just because I have not been in a mass shooting doesn't mean I don't understand that they actually happen.
Right.
It doesn't mean that I'm, have some sort of a magical bubble around me that's going to prevent evil from finding its way towards me either.
All right. So that'll take us into. Thanks, Smeggy. That'll take us into.
What do I do?
What are we going to do?
Are we ready? I didn't realize we were already done with that topic.
We haven't even. There was no.
Caught me off guard. Just like flew through that one like lightning. Like
We
greased
didn't
through a
even
pig.
get to it. But we were in the first break still, but that's
Yeah,
cool.
we haven't even gotten to gun biz, but now that it's warned, we might as well follow through.
Well, you just I don't know. Either maybe I misunderstood it, but it's like, what do you mean? How can the segment be over already? We hardly started it.
That's
So
okay.
never started.
Anyway.
Dano, just go. Just go.
Hey, pop
So
quiz
we're
is
going to go
happening
ahead
at
and go
any time,
because
folks.
I've already pulled the alarm, so it's too late to go backwards now. So it's time for the tactical. What the hell was that? What? There we go. Tactical pop quiz of the day, Dan. Do it till I get it right, or I'll just go home. YouTube and those of you over on gun channels, put your cursors down in the text box. Limber up your fingers. Mr. Smeggy, are you available to associate, and have you seen?
10-4, good buddy.
All right.
Roger,
Nothing like a little
Roger.
enthusiasm from your officiating partner. Today's question, I will read it twice. And here we go. When was the SA-25 submachine gun declared obsolete? When was the SA-25 submachine gun declared obsolete? And on that note,
LOL is not the answer.
Nope.
1922.
22? No.
Day after it was built.
There we go. Got it.
Yeah.
Dog Body Official.
It was at Dodge Dog Body Official.
Dog Body Official. Yes,
Dog Body
1968.
Official, your today's tactical pop quiz winner. Congratulations. Just in case you don't know, head on over to dailygunshow.com/pop quiz. Fill out the form, put your first and second choice, including your street address. Otherwise, it makes it hard to send you something. And congratulations. You are today's tactical pop quiz winner.
What we do then is we just have the mailman set it down in the street, like whatever street you gave us without the street address, just have it set in the street, and then hopefully you'll find it.
Yeah.
And then people
Yeah,
just
put
fight over
Maple.
the patch.
Yeah. You just put it somewhere on Maple Street, and you just have to find it. So where were we on the show notes?
Hang on a second, Dan.
Sorry, I blew it again.
To do my thing. Just
I
waiting
blew
for
it.
everyone to quit talking. Man, you're off today, dude. So, anyways, by getting the correct answer of 1968, Dog Body Official, that makes you the tactical hot shot of the day.
I think he hurt himself again.
That doesn't hurt when I do that.
And I do want to apologize to my co-host, as my timing seems to be all screwed up today.
That's okay.
Well, you got off that yogurt and go back to the ice cream. Yeah.
That's probably what it
Maybe
is.
that's it.
That yogurt's got you all messed up for your timing.
That and too much exercise.
No, never too much exercise. So we were talking about the history of Smith and Wesson.
Okay.
Yeah, you threw me at the end of that, which is why I thought you were changing topics. And I thought, why is he changing so fast?
Nope. So Smith and Wesson is founded in 1852. Remember back then? No.
Bob,
Yeah? What?
do you remember
yeah.
1852?
I don't know. I don't remember yesterday.
Is that the year you graduated or something?
I don't remember. I don't remember yesterday.
All right. Well, so we're going to go open up the internet here and share it with everybody. And we're going to the Smith & Wesson website. So they can't think of a bit more official history, at least what they want us to consider their history. Looks like that was the original building from back in the day, part of the fashion factory. It says that. What?
They slowed down the development of cartridge guns because they kept their patents so long.
Horace Smith and Daniel Wesson came from old New England families. They learned the trade from the Springfield Armory in Massachusetts. Daniel's experience came from his brother Edwin Wesson. Okay, so
As in Dan Wesson.
no, Daniel Wesson is the name of the Smith & Wesson. So Smith is Horace Smith, Wesson is Daniel Wesson. See, Dan Wesson. He learned it from his
Right.
brother Edwin, and then the two, Dan Wesson and Smith, got together. Looks like in Connecticut, with the aim of marketing a lever action repeating pistol, and I believe that was the like a big ground with lava. Yep, a volcanic. And that was not a financial success, they say. By 1854, the company was having difficulties. That's when they brought in the Winchester guy, right? So faced with their difficulties, they were forced to sell their company to a guy named Oliver Winchester. That guy took that lever action design from their pistol and then turned it into a rifle, and we know what that is. So Smith & Wesson did, in fact, invent the lever action and the pistol and cartridges and Winchester. 1856, Smith & Wesson formed the second partnership, small revolver designed to fire the rimfire cartridge that they patented in 1854, which is a 24-22 short. And then that first revolver was the Model 1, and then there was a Model 2, right, and Model 3. And by the time they got to Model 3, they were already up to like, what, 44 Russian and stuff? So they went from 22 short pretty quick up.
Yeah.
I think I'm history, right? But anyhow, they were in the beginning of all of our mass production. They were in the beginning of our firearms. They were in, they knew everybody, Winchester, Colt, them. They were all.
Well, the engineer that was working for him on that volcanic pistol his name was Henry.
Yep, exactly. So Henry, that was part of that whole little group, I guess. I don't know if they knew what they were back then, but they certainly all became pillars, right, in the whole whatever you call like gun industry. So I would say if you want to go get more information about the history of them, we'll throw this link in there, which is the official history. It's a nice little short thing, gives you some bullet points all the way up to when they made numerous handguns, and then they forgot to put the Hillary hole in here, but let's not forget they sold out and gave us the Hillary hole too. So
that's what I was going to mention. So I'm on the Wikipedia side, so it starts with that, which basically, followed along with what you just said. And then, talks Civil War. It was one of the most popular in demand. As that was winding down, they switched to, the Western frontier, and that's where they made the Smith & Wesson Model 3, where they decided, use bigger, like heavier calibers instead of the little pocket-sized revolvers they were making. But yeah, then it gets into the Clinton Agreement on March 17th, 2000. Smith & Wesson made an agreement with U.S. President Bill Clinton, under which it would implement changes to the design and distribution of its firearms in return for preferred buying program to offset the loss of revenue as a result of anticipated boycott. Distribution of its firearms in return. Oh, I'll just say it twice. Cool. And the agreement stated all authorized dealers and distributors of Smith & Wesson products had to abide by a code of conduct to eliminate the sale of firearms to prohibited persons. Dealers had to agree to not allow children under 18 access without an adult to gun shops or sections of stores containing firearms.
That brings up an interesting point as far as like they were doing it for a preferred sole supplier status to the government in some capacity. I wonder, is that still going on, that sole supplier status? Because that's something that's usually very, very rare for a defense contractor to get that status. That means there's no competitive quotes. That you just automatically get that business.
Yeah, it says nothing about like a timeline or anything, but even still, it doesn't mean being in a preferred buying list doesn't mean that you're the only one. I mean, we have that in our industry. We have preferred contractors and then like other ones, and it just means they look at those bids first before they look at the other ones.
I'm just wondering if that's a permanent thing, or I can't imagine them giving him any business a permanent status like that. And because I wonder, like, why? Because I often wonder, like, why is that hole still there?
Yeah, I don't know.
And that's why
I find it interesting of the making the authorized dealers sign an agreement, a code of conduct to eliminate sales of firearms to prohibited persons. They already weren't selling to prohibited persons because the whole 4473 and all that stuff. I mean, this is in 2000.
Exactly.
It's well after all the background checks and shit.
Now, it's like saying, you'll really follow the law, right? No, I mean, you'll really, really follow the law, right? Oh, yeah, sure. Well, then come on aboard. Because you said really, really. As if that makes a difference.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to, as an industry partner, acknowledge that your weapons are so dangerous that they require all this extra scrutiny and legislation and regulation and taxation and all kinds of compromise because we're willing to let you keep your toys even though they're so dangerous and now you owe us. It's part of that whole like leveraging and making the guns a demon.
Now, what do you think the original Smith & Wesson would think of that? Would they think it was bullshit, or would they go, oh, preferred deal with the government? Hell yeah.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those
capitalists back then.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, inventors were interested in inventing, and businessmen were interested in getting more business. And then there were those that were interested in trying to maintain whatever freedoms they could. And sometimes, people overlap. They were not just an inventor; they were also interested in freedom, or they were not just a businessman, but they were interested in freedom.
True that.
Are we sharpening our knives, or?
Oh, sorry. Turn the mic off.
Thought it was a knife club.
So, Robbie's saying that Smith & Wesson started making out shoes for Danish women. I'm not sure if he's trolling or if that's true. It's certainly not in their official history. And I've never heard that tidbit before.
I think that they're one of the largest machinists in the country, or machining firms.
Well, I thought, granted, these things change, but I thought as of a couple of years ago, Ruger was still ahead.
As far as a big company, I don't think
As far as like number of units sold.
Well, Smith & Wesson does a lot more than just guns anymore. Smith & Wesson is just one branch of the bigger companies, like brands. So I'm sure their companies are all doing. I've been in gun companies, gun factories before, where they might do guns in a quarter of the factory, or they might do guns on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but they're also doing like car brakes and rims and I don't know, other things that need to be machined on those kind of machines. And I suspect Smith & Wesson got incorporated into a bigger company like that or something, because I've heard that they're a pretty sizable company.
Yeah, well, they were bought in 2001, and then like they renamed to like Smith & Wesson Holding or whatever, and then I forget the date when I already closed the window, but some other thing that those people like acquired some other companies, and then now it's like called Outdoor Brand or something. So that's the
And
Robbie made that up. Thanks for making me look like a jerk. Thanks, Robbie. I would have expected that from Clay or DB, but not you. I thought you were my friend.
To tell you the truth, Smeggy, it wasn't that hard for him to do it.
Wait, what happened? What are we talking?
He made the thing up about the shoes. Made me look silly.
Anyway, like, what is it that Smith & Wesson had that obsession with tiny little underpowered cartridges? Because the Volcanic was really wimpy. And then their first revolver is 22 short.
Yeah, there's Bob going back to the innovators, the people that create the first of its kind, and then he bitches that they're not comparable to shit that's decades later after improvement and innovation stepped on their shoulders. But yeah,
they're the ones that came up with the Model 29 44 Magnum.
Here's the Canadian way. Let's stand next to the biggest country on the planet who creates every like healthcare innovation ever. And let's
the biggest country's Russia.
Socialize medicine, and then let's bitch that the biggest country on the planet isn't perfect about their medicine. Canadians.
It's not the biggest country on the planet. It's not even third, I don't think.
Oh wait, you're saying physical size? I'm saying by greatness.
Oh. Well, Trump hasn't been in that long, so I don't think it's great yet.
Who makes the most iconic gun on the planet?
Greatness.
That would be Colt.
Colt? Well, I didn't get to myself.
No,
I said that's a Model 29 44 Magnum, Dirty Harry.
All I heard is the Model 29. What are we saying that for, Dana?
Oh, well, it's just in regards to, companies make various products of all sizes. They go to what the market demands. If the market wants small guns, they'll make small guns. If they want larger guns, they'll make larger guns. Size or caliber.
Oh, are you just trying to show Bob that the 500 Magnums and the 454s and all the other guns that they make that are huge are examples that they don't just make the tiniest guns?
Exactly.
He was trying to say the Model 29 is the most iconic gun in the world, and I was saying, no, it isn't. The 1911 is. And that's made by Colt. Designed by John Browning.
Well, it's just you're poo-pooing Smith as if there's some third-rate weak sister.
Yeah. Making them into the Dodge of the gun world.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys want to make them a Chevy, and I don't really think they're that unreliable.
A what? A Debbie. All right. Well,
I think he said Hemi.
We're never going to get through this language barrier. I'm going to take a second to address Jared out there on the YouTube side. Did I win the van yesterday? No, because of Sharon. Thanks, Sharon.
But you made her pay a whole bunch more money.
Unrelated gun fact: before Hogue made gun accessories, they also made toilet seats. Interesting. That way, when you drop it, it doesn't make as much noise because it's that rubber coated.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
All right, so I guess we've solved
Bacteria.
Smith and Wesson. You're welcome. We'll move on to the next topic, which I'm going to suggest make the gun of the day, because then we can just play this film strip and we can all go smoke a cigarette in the teacher's lounge.
Well, I kind of got a little something I need to do.
Oh, go right ahead then.
I think you just
I'd like to slide in some. Yeah. And I'm going to go ahead and say it, Bob, so go ahead and get your laugh out. Time for tactical response, tactical tidbits. Go ahead, Bob. Let it rock.
No, it's not funny anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't sound so much like Timbits anymore. So
yeah, tactical tidbits. Didn't like it. All right, today we are up for number 9. Let's start with a review of number 8, which was yesterday. It's not the great shot that wins the fight. It's all the little mistakes you don't make. Amateurs practice until they get it right. Professionals train until they can't get it wrong. That was rule number 8 yesterday. Rule number 9 today. Nearly every gunfight will have more people you don't want to shoot than people you do. And that is the rule of the gunfight.
What if you were
when I think of that rule, I think in regards to being aware of not just your target, but what's behind it, what's on the side of it. You know, because even if you hit your target, you may get a pass through that may go through the wall behind him or her, whatever, or through the glass, whatever, and then keep going.
Well, not if you're using a 9mm Dano.
So yeah, you
I
should be
just don't know
careful
what
of
to
your
do with this.
surroundings, especially for missing is even more of a potential of going further than you want it to, because it hasn't lost any.
There are a lot of
yet.
people in these full metal jackets, and they are going to get pass-throughs. Even with modern jacketed hollow points, which have a much greater chance of properly mushrooming, there's still no guarantee that you're going to hit them in a part that's going to completely stop that round, especially if you hit them in an area that's not thicker than 18 inches. It may go right through and still have enough power to poke a hole in somebody else. So, almost need to think of, every bullet that you send out there, including the one that hits the guy that's trying to take your life or the life of another, has a little attorney attached to it. So you need to think of each bullet you're sending down range as potential lawsuit on your hands. So be aware of what's behind your target, what's around your target. That's what that rule, which I will read just one more time and then we'll let it go. In nearly every gunfight, you will have more people you don't want to shoot than people you do. And with that, that is Tactical Tidbits for today. If somebody has something else they want to throw in there?
Nope, thanks for doing them. So I'm going to move on to the gun of the day, which we're doing a series this week on Derringers out of the Derringer playlist over on gun websites. So this one is from 2010. This was from NRA Show 2010 in Charleston, North Carolina, and took a look at their, I think their little short guy was fairly new back then, this little guy. And that was what they were coming out with, and just took a look at them. I think they, in the video here, it's just a couple minutes long, they go through and talk about them. They're made in Texas, though, super strong, real heavy, and I like them. They're Remington style, so that means that the rear sight is a hinge, and they come up and around, which is a little bit awkward, but they're a little bit larger than a standard Remington Derringer, Remington style, which are being made by Davis and Davis now, and or I guess Davis and Cobra now. And then so these are more substantial, and then the hammer's a little bit easier to use. So this one almost looks like it has like a Bisley looking grip to it. But anyhow, these are the Bond arms, and that's our gun of the day. I don't know if you guys Want to throw something into those? I'm
They're
thinking this.
pretty cool little guns.
I'm thinking this right up Bob's alley. He would like one of these.
I guess
Does that
Bob doesn't
hold
like it.
just two?
2 shots, yeah. And except for the one that's like a 45-70, it just shoots one.
Wow, how much do you hate your hands to shoot that thing, huh?
Yeah. And then you can switch the barrels out with that little thing there. Unscrew that roll pin. Drop in a new barrel. I think you can switch calibers out that easy too.
So, at least at that time, do you recall roughly to go from one caliber to another, how much money it would take to go from it to buy the parts to make it go from one caliber to another?
No, but I suspect this piece of paper right here explained all of that. I just have no idea. I didn't ask him about it. They're not inexpensive. They're not giving things away. They're like $300, aren't they?
And considering to change calibers, all you're doing is basically just buying that new barrel set, and that's like half the gun. So the barrel section by itself is probably $150 or $200 if the whole thing's 3.
Yeah, probably.
Because
Maybe
it's a concept.
What?
I was just going to say it's a concept that has not gone away even today. As they have, as an example, those inserts for shotguns.
That's
to shoot different caliber pistol rounds.
Oh, and the other thing about these is you can see they can put those stupid trigger guards on them. So if you're of the type that thinks you need to have a trigger guard on a Derringer, whoa, what the hell happened there? You can screw that trigger guard on it. They're which is kind of nice, real compact, and that small one is really small, even though they're kind of heavy. It really does get small. Anyway, I don't know what else to say. We're not selling them, but that was the Bond Arms Derringers from SHOT Show 2010 in Charlotte, North Carolina. All right. Well, so I guess we'll keep moving. The gun shop of the day.
What I miss? Sorry, dog issues.
Right on. You've been traveling around, Bob. Do you got any gun shops of the day for today?
Nope. I kind of cannonballed at home, so.
All right. Well, so I guess we'll just ditch it. Daniel's taking off for his 9 to 5.
I can do one.
You're gonna do the gun shop of the day?
I can do a gun shop of the day.
Sure, the day you don't ask him, the day he comes up with one.
All right. What's the shop?
Okay, it's called Eagle Eye. It's a shop and a range. It's out in I don't know, outside St. Louis somewhere. I don't know if it's Wentzville or O'Fallon or something like that. It's somewhere over there. I'm not doing a very good job at it, but it was a pretty cool shop. I've been in there when I was out of town for work. And I'm trying to like find it while I'm talking. But they had a pretty good selection of different handguns, and they had rifles on the wall, and they had a handful of like AKs and ARs and stuff. And then they had rental of some full auto guns as well. Okay, it is in Wentzville. So Wentzville, Missouri. It's a little bit outside St. Louis. But yeah, it was a cool shop. Everyone in there. Oh, I can't drop links. Bummer. Oh well. There it is in the gun channel side. I can't drop it over on the YouTube side.
Just type something in there then.
What do you mean?
You got to type something in there so I can get the 3 dots.
Gotcha. Oh, crap. I clicked the wrong button. I was going to screen share real quick.
YouTubing is hard.
So this is
Monday,
their...
I'll say something, it'll pop up in this area of the screen. I'll refresh. Maybe he's saying stuff and I'm stuck. There we go. It'll pop up. All right, so now I can do this, and then I can add moderator. Now Smeggy can type whatever he wants, and he can post links and whatever.
Cool.
He can also ban at will.
You gave him that
goody.
much power? I don't know, man.
Unlimited
So,
power.
anyways, 25-yard range, 12 lanes, up to 30 cal rifle, blah blah blah. They got good bullet traps and ventilation, whatever's. I don't know if they have pictures of their. Oh, they sell silencers. Neat. So, I guess these are some pictures of some of their guns. I mean, they got a pretty good variety. That's what I liked about it. Is, they got hunting rifles and stuff, plus ARs and AKs and all sorts of handguns and stuff, as you can see. I'm scrolling through here. Many different types of stuff. So, but yeah, they were cool. And then they're just kind of killing some time and talking to the guys, and they seemed very knowledgeable and were very friendly. They apparently have a pretty nice wood floor. So there you go. That's the gun shop of the day.
Right on. Well, thanks for posting one. We do like to do a different gun shop every single day. Pink said that he'd sent one in via email. I just didn't check the email before the show today. So, and we don't always put them straight from the email right in. We usually do that like kind of in batches. So thank you for sending that in, Pink, and anybody else that wants to send in a suggestion for a unique gun shop that's interesting. Remember, you carry a phone around. That means you're carrying a camera around. Every time I've asked, I mean, very, 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 very rarely, only a couple of times ever, has a gun shop said, no, don't take pictures of my shop. Once in a while, they'll ask why, and then you explain you just want to share them on the web, and then they're more than happy to let them, as long as you're not some kind of weird reporter, I think is what they're most worried about. Somebody that's going to do a hit piece on guns or their gun shop specifically. So talk with them a little bit, let them know what you're going to do. Maybe do a YouTube channel, maybe you do a podcast, maybe you have a blog. Maybe you just do Instagram or have a YouTube where you just play around, and you're not doing it with any real big intent, but still you're providing a service for them. We've talked about it before, creating links out there on the internet that describe and show pictures of their place of business is beneficial to them in lots of different ways. So most places understand that, and again, you can ask them if it's okay to take a few pictures, do so. Then use your phone to post them on Instagram or Facebook or your gun channels, and then send us a link, and we'll be happy to promote the shop a bit, let people know about it. You never know who's visiting, who has relatives in the area. You do that favor to the gun shop, you do that favor to our show. We get to talk about a new gun shop that day. We get to BS a little bit about it. Somebody out there hears over somebody's shoulder about a shop, and they know somebody in that area. They tell them about it. Maybe the guy on a conversation, next day about potato chips, he says, "Oh yeah," and then there's a gun shop nearby. That sparks him to go over and visit, and he buys something. So now you're helping out that local gun shop. So that happens all the time, I'm sure. So take part, participate in that. It also contributes to the whole interactivity of our show. We really do want to be cutting edge as far as new media, and the more we just sit here and preach and talk and you just absorb, it's just old-fashioned stuff, and we're not good at that. And I don't think any of us are striving to be famous or to be authorities on anything. We're just trying to be the conductors or the air traffic controllers for the content that's being created by everybody else out there. So create content and let us just help point people at it. All right, with all that, I think we can move on to movie of the day. I guess Dan will do one about John Wayne. So to talk about movie of the day, we kind of have to talk about gun history. So there's a couple of gun history things happening today, I think. One of them was out on the Gun Channel side, I think. Um, somebody put in here a piece of gun history. It's not really gun history, I guess, but it's history. That today is May 25th, 1977. Does anybody remember May 25th, 1977? It was a long time ago.
I don't remember that.
It was in a galaxy cinema far, far away. That's when the first Star Wars came out. For all you people who hate Star Wars, you jerks. That was first Star Wars, May 25th, 1977. So that was today. But before that, in history, it was the birthday of John Wayne. So that's what we're talking about today in our gun shop, or the gun movie of the day. I went ahead.
Wow, he was born in 1907.
Yeah, I shit canned the whatever girl movie we were going to talk about so that we can talk about that in the future, right? And we'll talk about John Wayne movies today. You said he's born in 1907?
1907, yep.
So that makes him 10 years older than my grandparents.
It's pretty cool.
Bob has no comment on that.
Yeah. No, he was.
That's because he's 10 years older than John Wayne.
Not older than John Wayne.
Looks like
Do you
he's
have a favorite John Wayne movie? Are you?
Oh, he was one of my favorite actors when I was a kid. I love the fact he did lots of war movies and stuff, and I love those. Yeah, interesting fact is he was actually 4F. He couldn't serve. That's why he had that kind of weird walk. He had something wrong with his hip or his knee or something.
According to Sean earlier, I guess we won't get into that. So besides talking about that, I guess kind of is appropriate since it's Memorial Day pretty soon. He was in a lot of war movies, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah,
Western.
Well, obviously. So do you have a favorite? Swaggy, have you seen any John Wayne movies, or are you just going to sit this one out?
I feel like I probably have. I'm going through his list right now just to spark my memory. I couldn't think of one off the top of my head. I got distracted trying to figure out what his oldest movie was. And did a bunch of stuff in the 20s that was uncredited, so then I was trying to find his first, like, credited role.
Yeah, the problem was he was like in the movies back when they would make like a movie every week, right? For like, because kids couldn't get of them and they were cheap. But it was almost like watching a TV show at the movie theater every week.
Yeah, yeah, you go every weekend because it was like a nickel.
And then those guys would sort of just work for a studio, right? And one day they were a criminal, and the next day they were the farmhand, and the next day they were the sheriff, and the next day they was the rancher, and then he was the bad guy again.
Yep. Yeah, they were studio actors. So yeah, they were just they'd be whatever they were told to be. They got a salary, and then of course the star thing started sometime in the late 20s, early 30s.
Now I'm looking for, it says in this thing that he starred in 142 pictures, but I think when I did this before, I used to have a website up where I would keep track of the things I've seen John Wayne in. There was 170 something, like 176, I think. And that might have been like including like when he was on Lucy show and when he was like on a commercial for war bonds or something. There was, or whatever, like on a TV show, and then they had like a cut and it was him promoting war bonds or something. So this is probably the actual movies. Any idea how many of the movies you might have seen?
Oh God, no. I'll bet you I've seen 40 or 50 though.
I think I was up to like 76, and then the website took a crap and I never rebuilt it. It was just really my notes so that I could, if I went to go look for one, I could see if I've already seen it or not. Maybe I should do it in a spreadsheet this time.
Get Smeggy to do it.
Maybe.
No, seriously, doing it on a spreadsheet on Google, what do you call it? Google Cloud Docs or whatever.
Yeah.
You can have that display in a page somewhere, and then that way the data, the guts of it, is all on Google's end. They keep it back up and everything. And since it's not really necessary, it's not important data or anything, that way it would last even if the website took a crap.
That's true.
Anyway, I might do something like that again because it was kind of cool. I was checking out. It was right when I went from Netflix to Amazon for movies. I quit paying for Netflix a while back, and then so before I knew I was quitting. Before I quit, I watched as many or pretty much every John Wayne movie on Netflix, which was a bunch of them. They have a bunch of the old stupid ones from like the 20s, where they're almost like they're weird or old, and then it's basically the same movie over and over and over again, and then just a few of the newer ones. And then when I switched over to Amazon, they had quite a few differences. But anyway, that covered just those two alone. Those two sources covered 50 or something, I think.
Mm-hmm.
40.
Yeah, I think the last one he made was at the Shootist. About the old gunfighter cancer. Yeah.
1976.
Yeah. I really like that. Yeah, that was a real.
That's
so
one of
he
the
passed away in 79. So he pretty much worked right up till the end.
Yeah.
That one's toughest to find unless you're going to pay for it. That one's the toughest to find, like just out there. I don't know why. And it was even hard to find just a DVD of it when I was looking.
Yeah, it's too bad. He was a great man.
You got a favorite one?
Not really. Well, Rooster Cogburn. I just love that character.
That one's almost a comedy, right?
Yeah, almost. I mean,
well, it's not a comedy, but there's comedic parts to it, right?
Right. And it was something you didn't normally see John Wayne do. Like it was still John Wayne, but it was, John Wayne showing he has a sense of humor and stuff. So it was really a good movie. I really liked it.
He's in a couple of them with whoever that singer is, Don, the Rat Pack guy.
Don DeLuise?
No.
Or Don
the cool drunk one.
Dean
Martin. He's in a couple of movies with that guy where they're basic. I mean, it's John Wayne still. He's still John Wayne, except that he's got the like funny side, and that's that guy getting drunk or that guy being funny, and then him playing off of that a little bit. And I don't know if that was just, that was probably just the style of the time, right? That would be like having Bruce Willis and a comedian in the same movie where they're kind of still playing the tough guy, but it's kind of a comedy also.
Yep.
Like the buddy cop movie of the time. Except buddy sheriff.
Cowboy. Yeah. But yeah, he wasn't a Shakespearean actor, but he was good. He knew his craft, and he also knew his limitations. He didn't take parts he couldn't play, but he played some parts that were, like the where he was the prize fighter. That was a good one where he, wasn't a cowboy, wasn't in the army, although he was like a tough guy.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's where he goes back to Ireland, I think, or something.
Now, was there something to be said? I'm just speaking out my ass here because I don't know, but it almost seems like if he was in movies from like the 20s to the 50s, 60s, right? 70s, so 50 years in movies from the 20s to the 50s. So that's pretty much movies development from crappy old black and whites that were weird to the good black and whites that were epic to the colors when they were kind of weird, and then through the 70s where they were trying to prove something, and then into the into modern times or whatever. And I'm saying, do you think that the concept of the John Wayne character, right, him playing that role, I mean, that kind of set the tone. There was no rules. Everything was developing, and the fact that he decided to choose the same kind of roles all the time, I don't think anybody sat down with him and said when he was young, hey, you know what? When you get old, you're going to have wanted to play the same role all the time, and that's going to mean something to people, and you're going to be iconic for that. So start doing it. You know what I mean? He just decided, I'm only going to play this kind of role, character or whatever. And then, I mean, you go around the world now and say, I was looking for songs that say John Wayne in them to start the show. I couldn't even do it because there's like a billion of them because basically you say John Wayne and that means something. That means like, you know, rugged individualist throughout the world. So I'm saying, do you think that, well, I'm just saying, I think there's something to be said. He kind of created that whole thing. And now like Brad Pitt or whoever are
I think that was just part of John Wayne. That was just part of John Wayne's personality, though. I mean, he was that kind of guy. You know, like he had a PT boat for his cabin cruiser, you know. like
I can get behind that.
Yeah, I know. It was just like he was just that kind of guy. I mean, he really was. He loved riding horses. He was what you saw, really.
So I found something interesting, again, going back to his first ones. I find it humorous. He was in Noah's Ark in 1928. He was a flood extra, uncredited, which means if you find that movie, you'll probably see John Wayne splashing around in the water somewhere and getting drowned. Because I can think of that's the only extras that would be in the flood from Noah's Ark. So that's a little. Go find it. Go try and find them. It's probably in there for like 2 seconds or something.
That's funny. Yeah, and that's the way it was back in those days. I mean, you know, you were signed up by the studio, and you might have a leading role one day, and you might be a bit actor the next. And they were pumping out movies like, you know.
Yep. It looks like he did a bunch of like football movies to start out in the late 20s.
I seem to faintly remember something about he was an athlete in school, and then that might have been how he hurt himself or something. But I mean, this is all just fuzzy memories from way back.
His first credited role was in Words and Music in 1928. What?
What? Didn't we already do that?
What's going on here?
Is this an answer ambush? It means everybody who's listening on the gun channels and the YouTube side has only a matter of moments to answer the question. Well, how old was John Wayne when he died?
Oh, and we've given the answer.
It's been said. I mean, it's obvious knowledge, so we're just waiting for the first answer on the YouTube or the gun channel side to answer that answer ambush. They can't even keep up. They're just all sleeping. I can see a bunch of people's feet coming down off the desk, scrambling for the keyboard. Is it 78? No, it's not 78.
There you go.
Pink Panther.
Pink Panther.
And that guy's at work, I think.
Wow. Good job, Pink Panther.
Way to go, Pink.
That makes, with the correct, for anyone who didn't do the math, that was 72 was the correct answer. Nightcast was close with 76, the only YouTube answer that came in. But because of getting the right answer, Pink Panther, you are the answer ambush survivor.
I don't like that at all.
Try new things. I don't think they'll let me ever do that again.
No, that was horrible. We just got done mowing, I guess, the lawn, and then you got the answer. So there you go. You never know when you can just sit around during this show. Better be ready if you want to win.
On your feet and ready to go.
Jared got back just in time to find out that Pink stole another answer ambush from the YouTube side. You know what's going to happen? The YouTube side's going to, or the gun channel side is all going to be like going out for pizza or something. And, you know, not even, they're just walking home from going out to eat and they're not even thinking about it because they're having a good time or whatever. You know, they're kind of walking the shortcut home. Next thing you know, they're in this alley and it kind of opens up. And that's going to be the YouTube side sitting there in ambush. They're going to start something. It's going to happen.
Give me old patches.
Yep. Got a lot of patches there, don't you?
Right, yeah. Hey, those some nice patches you got there.
What size of them patches?
If something happened to them.
What size of them patches? Patch panel.
Got Velcro on the back?
Just like the patch I had. Stolen from me. All right, so why don't we move along to, what else do we even have left? We did this. We did this. We did hit on history. It is John Wayne's birthday. I think we said that already. and we did the gun movie. So I think we're about done, right? Weekly wrap up.
Yeah, I think that's all we got left.
So I'm going to copy this so I don't have to waste my time doing this twice like a sucker. And I'm going to go scroll down and look at what we've been talking about this week. So this was an interesting week. I started the gun channel, or the Old West Guns playing card deck project over on Kickstarter, and it's been doing excellent. It's almost, gonna go check. It's $567 out of 6,000. Just what is it, 6 days in or something? It's got 31 days to go. We're officially starting it here in about an hour and a half from now. We'll go live again over on Kickstarter and on YouTube, over on the Gun Websites channel, and we'll officially kick it off. We'll have a little tribute to John Wayne since it's his birthday. It's the reason we decided to kick it off today, and then we'll have a little bit of a to-do, some questions and answers. It'll last about a half an hour or so. We don't want to take up everybody's night. But I was digging in here to what we talked about this week. Besides that, we talked about on Monday how to use social media and Patreon specifically, talking about the theory that these crowdfunding systems that are out there have massive user bases. So think of them as social media platforms that can pay you, but they're not like a PayPal where people come in, do their transaction, and walk away. They're not like an ATM, I guess, where someone just comes up and walk away. It's not just for the transaction. There's a lot of tools over there, a lot of power. So if you're creating a brand, or if you're creating a channel, or whatever you want to call it, you're trying to create something that's going to require some funding to keep going. Maybe you want to do something that pays bills. You want to do something professionally. Then consider using the Patreon, not just to raise funds, but also to network and to share audience with other people who are doing episodic, right? One thing at a time type of projects over there. We also talked about logbooks and keeping records of what's going on with your firearms, either for your own use or for resale value, those kind of things, maybe even for insurance. Talked about 3-point shooting range this week on Monday. Throughout the week, we talked about shooting ranges here in Tucson, kind of a theme. And then today, of course, we talked about that shop in St. Louis, outside of St. Louis.
Yep.
Let me see. We're lost Z on Monday. That's the day he said that it was his last day. So that changed the show a bit. Tuesday.
Yeah, it took us all by surprise. We didn't even know it was coming. So we're as shocked as all you guys are.
So and that, well, there's nothing to say. That's why there's nothing to say. So we also had tabulated the tactical pop quiz winners. Angry, at least at the beginning of the week there, had pulled ahead to 42 wins. Pondering.
Oh, does that mean he's a special winner?
Special winner because it's 42, you mean? Like you
Yeah.
a special like significance where like a little sound should happen?
Yeah, something.
So then we got Connery at 37 and Matt G right there at 31, but dropping behind a bit. Lots of people still, though, winning every day for the first time. There's not every day for the first time, but people win all the time for the first time. Lots of people in the 10s and 12s area. So it's not a completely lopsided thing like some of the YouTubers would have you believe. So let's see, what else did we talk about on Tuesday? Good idea, bad idea was firearms on display. We interpreted the Second Amendment through modern times, and you guys did, well, you did the hashtag Daily Gun Show showdown. Then on Wednesday, we talked about selecting ammo. We selected your ammo for CCW. You're welcome. We talked about guns on vehicles and in movies and stuff. We didn't do the tactical quiz because the tactical quiz is now on Saturdays. However, we talked about why we're moving it to Saturdays and how awesome it's going to be and that kind of thing. Did we also do a tactical quiz? We might have also done a tactical quiz.
I don't think we did.
Sure we didn't?
No, but I don't think we did.
Then let's see. Gun stuff on Thursday was we helped you buy your next firearm, and I think we mostly fought and haggled, quarreled with each other about it. Then we talked about when you're done with training. Now that Dano's hardened up and has completed his training regime, we were able to learn from his wisdom.
Yep, training teaches you what to practice at home. Remember that, DB.
We talked about Gun Channel's story time and the story of Yankee's chair. We had a bunch of gun history this week. Actually, quite a bit of it. This week was Makarov's birthday. So since this is Makarov, the reason is because he both was born and died in this month. Let's see. Bonnie and Clyde were killed this week. And I don't think we wrote everything else down. Let's see, what were we on Thursday? We talked about what gun to buy. Yep, we were on then today. So that's where we're at with the show. We do schedule the show out with our Patreon supporters. So Patreon, we talked about it a little bit earlier because we talked about it earlier this week. It's our way that we do connect with the people that are supporting the show. There are some costs associated with the show. We don't pay ourselves. There's less cost on server stuff now because we quit basically posting it over to iTunes. And we're not getting a lot of complaints. So even though we're losing that as a way to advertise or a way to promote the show, I mean, it's a very large platform with people that are listening to content like this. We've decided for cost, since we're not really bringing in any income for the show, we decided to quit doing that because of the time and the cost involved. But we do have cost when we send out the tactical quiz prizes and stuff. Not that it's a huge cost, but it does accumulate. So we do appreciate the people on Patreon who are covering that. So thanks to those people. And if anyone wants to see the show grow, consider checking out our Patreon. There's a link to it on any of our projects or any of our, what do you call them, pages on any of the platforms that we're on. Of course, on our website itself, dailygunshow.com. And consider throwing a few bucks down. We have a couple of different levels there. We can accept a couple of dollars and just say thank you, but anything over $3, you're in the running for a free patch each month. And at a certain level, I think it's $19.11. At $19.11, you're going to get a free patch every month, no matter what, as a thank you. And that allows us to, have a bit of a budget so we can do things. Well, we haven't been able to do anything except ship stuff yet, but we do have big plans. So if we do see some income come in, we do have ways to use it, and those will all go towards making the show even better. So that's what we did this week. I think on Monday we will be talking about a guy who hosts diversity shoots and is an active gun advocate. His name is Tony Simon. And then we'll be talking about guns in law enforcement. Next week we have a bunch of movies. The first one is called The Killer Elite. The next one is The Evil That Men Do. The next one is Appaloosa. There's nothing on Thursday. And then we got Bandidas, the one we were supposed to talk about today. So we'll move that to Thursday, and we'll let everybody know we need a movie for Friday next week. But if you want to get ahead and watch some of the movies that we're going to be talking about next week, Bad Girls, Appaloosa, The Evil That Men Do, and Killer Elite. Seems like I've been talking for a long time. Is there anything else you guys have before we head off?
No. Other than gun channels tonight.
All right. So in about, an hour and a half or maybe an hour from now, I think. Wait, I'm going to look right over here. In about 1 hour and 29 minutes from right now, we'll be starting the Old West Guns playing card deck live show over on Kickstarter. It'll also be over on the Gun Website's YouTube channel. Then Edge of the Week is probably sometime tonight.
Yep. And then on Saturday morning, Travis has Caliber Corner. I think that's 9 a.m. I forget exactly. It's sometime kind of early in the morning, at least on the East Coast. And then Rick is doing Rick's Life as I See It. And I think that's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we'll be doing the tactical quiz at 7 o'clock. And all those times are Eastern.
Wait a minute. Is this a mistake? Is this because of Bob left? You have just moments because someone else is going to answer this because we already talked about the answer. Since this is the second answer ambush, we don't even have any time. You're going to tell us how many movies John Wayne was in since he's the birthday boy. How many movies was John Wayne in? There's already somebody typing this, so you're already losing. You're already,
according to what you had said earlier, right?
according to what the Wikipedia said, which is the Gospel of John Wayne. 122 is incorrect. 65 is wrong. Oh, you know what I should have said? They only have till the end of the song. That would have been even more pressure. They have only till the end of this song right here. This gives them about 30 seconds.
Was it 172?
No, it's not 140. It's not 250. It's not 77. It wasn't 175. It wasn't 178. It wasn't 107. Come on. I made a big point of it.
I'm glad you're watching, because for some reason my gun channels isn't refreshing. I'm not seeing all those answers. I'm just seeing YouTube. Definitely wasn't 68.
No, it wasn't 68. It wasn't 178. Smeggy knows the answer. Pants knows the answer. It was 142. 142. Pants got it just in the nick of time, because I was going to say it's over when that song thing ended. So that was your second answer ambush. There's a bunch of suckers who quit listening to the show whenever Dano does the whatever that thing is called, tactical pop quiz or whatever. Big deal. Everybody does that. Anybody can win the tactical pop quiz if you're on the YouTube side or on the gun channel side. But answer ambushes, you never know when those are coming.
Well, there you go. I mean, even Bob left thinking it was over. My goodness.
Yeah, I was like, nothing else can possibly happen tonight.
Gosh darn it. My computer's being weird. Am I still in?
Yeah. Sorry,
okay.
Bob, because Bob decided to jump out of the chat and then text me, big urgent thing that I had to text him back right now. So, okay. All right, so Pink Panther is saying 162. Yeah, I don't care. I said 142 earlier. Smeggy heard me. And 142 is 42 with a 1 in front of it, and that's obviously the answer. So, if Bob was here, if he was right now, I could text Bob and ask him what about that, and he would text back something about Hot Shot. Or no, wait. What would he say? Something about Buttercup.
Something about a Buttercup.
You can challenge flag it. I don't care. Wikipedia deniers. Why don't you Wikipedia deniers go over to this page where it says it? He went to star in 142 pictures. And that was by biographer Ronald Davis. Who named Ronald has ever been wrong before?
Nice. Hashtag Buttercup challenge. Nice.
All right. So that kind of went off rails at the end there, but that's the way we run the show. We're crazy like that. Hour and a half or so, we'll be doing the Old West Guns inauguration kickoff, where we actually have already funded it. So we'll be talking about all kinds of stretch goals, and we can start thinking about our wildest dreams coming true, because that's 30 days of more people figuring out about this deck, and it's already funded. So it's a whole different story.
Is it officially, or we're still a couple hundred short, right?
No, it's 5,767 as of right now. But we got an hour and a half, and it's been a pretty decent rate. So I think we're spreading. A lot of this is Yankee, but a lot of it really, well, now Yankees actually contributing a lot, but our Yankees, not Yankee, but Yankees urging his audience. Yankee has a large audience, and those people are definitely contributing a lot to it. But it started out with almost exclusively people on Kickstarter itself. Again, a very large platform. I think I saw somewhere 6.4 million, or was it 64 million people just use the platform as a social media platform. So that's just a heck of a lot of people that are just browsing around and seeing what's new. So the project being new was posted, just here's a new project. It was also in like the playing card section as a new product or project. And just those recommendations alone got quite a few people on board, besides the people, the gun channels or listening to the Daily Show or my YouTube channel or whatever it might be. So there was quite a bit of interest just from the Kickstarter platform. So I'm encouraged to see that. And that tells me that a lot of those people who I could see were out there sharing it on their Facebooks and their forums and whatnot. That kind of stuff is like roots to a tree or something. That stuff really helps, because that's there 24/7. So now somebody can be surfing the web from almost anywhere in the world at almost any time of day or night and find, and be in a a playing card forum or in a Old West Guns forum and find the link to this and jump over to jump over to the Kickstarter. And like I say, those routes are there all the time. I guess I shouldn't say routes, they're more like nets. So it's like putting out nets that are always going to be there to find people that are looking for this kind of stuff, or not even looking for it, people that are just browsing the subject. Anyhow, we'll be starting that in about 90 minutes or so. We talked about what's going on tomorrow. You talked about Rick as well, right?
Yes.
In the morning, Rick in the afternoon, tactical quiz in the evening. Now we got Matt in the mornings, Yankee in the afternoons on Sunday. Actually, all we really need is a primetime Sunday show, and we've got basically 24/7 coverage over on Gun Channels at this point. That's pretty cool.
And that's besides all the lobbies mixed in between there too.
I'll put this challenge out there. If the Daily Gun Show over on Patreon gets over $250, right? That's a pretty big challenge. If it can get over to $250, I'll definitely start doing a Sunday show, because I've been wanting to do a weekly wrap up. And if it can bring in that kind of scratch, that'll pay a bill or two. That'll pay a cable bill or something, or a phone bill maybe. And that would give me time to not hustle and do a Sunday show where I wrap up the week with all the info from Gun Channels. And I'd love to do it. So if you're interested in something like that, like to see the Daily Show go 7 days a week, Z can do it. I can do it. So the only reason I can't do it, or I'm not doing it now, is because I can't afford to do it. But there's a challenge out there if you want to try taking us up on it. Go with that 1911 challenge, or the 1911 level, and then you'll be getting a patch every month. That actually will help us do, more patch runs, so we can do more patch designs and stuff. So that'd be great. So if you're interested in seeing that, give that some consideration. And that'll end episode 320. I guess Bob ain't coming back, so you got Bob's.
So yeah, I can do the quote. So yeah, once again, everyone, thanks for listening. Like, share, subscribe, give us the thumbs. You know the deal. And this quote for today is from Sheriff Ben Johnson. In a perfect world, you wouldn't need guns. This is not a perfect world. So, thanks everyone for listening.
GunWebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching GunWebsites.com.